One of the most common things that I hear from people day in and day out is that I really want to buy a house, but I just don't know if now is the right time. Interest rates are high, it seems like competition is high, inventory is low. How do I know when is the right time to buy my first home or my second home or just to buy in general? In today's video, we're going to be talking about why now is a great time to buy a house and all of the things to consider to make sure that you are ready to buy a home in 2024. So if you've been thinking about making a home purchase this year, take a look at this video. We're going to get into some really important things to consider, and we're going to get started right now. Welcome to my channel. If you're new here, make sure to tap the subscribe button and to tap the bell for notifications to make sure that you are made aware of our new content to the channel as soon as it comes out. My name is Persia and I am a local real estate agent. I've been helping people just like you who are looking to make a transition to Maryland, to the Baltimore metro area, to make their first home purchases, all of those things, and I absolutely love it. So whether you're looking to move to Maryland in the next 9 days or 90 days, make sure that you reach out to me and to my team. You can text us, call us, email us. We can set up a Zoom call, and it would be our absolute pleasure to help you make a transition to Baltimore Metro. Okay, so let's get into some of the factors at play when you are considering whether now is the right time to make a home purchase. Mortgage interest rates had hit a high mark at around 8% in October of 2023, but recently have come down a little bit and are hovering right around 7%. Some people are thinking, okay, maybe interest rates might come down a little bit more, and so they're trying to time the market. That is completely understandable, but something that is quite difficult to do. Timing the market is nearly impossible, and so it's one of those things where you have to determine if now is the right time to buy, irrespective of what interest rates are doing. One factor that's important to consider is the National Association of Realtors has noted that the home prices have been rising year over year consecutively for the past 7 months. And in the Baltimore region, that is absolutely true. Home prices are going up. So when you combine the factors of mortgage rates around 7% and rising home prices, again, yes, it might seem daunting and might seem quite expensive to buy a house right now, but home prices continuing to rise is actually a good sign. It means that if you were to make a home purchase, you know that you are going to be gaining instant equity, which is a benefit. Now again, to something that I said just a moment ago, we cannot time the real estate market. It is a fool's errand. So all that you can do is think about your current financial circumstances and whether or not it makes sense in your life personally to make a home purchase. We do know that because home prices are continuing to rise, and historically, based on anecdotal evidence and based on actual evidence, buying a home long-term is a good investment. So if you have stability financially and you are thinking of making the move, it could be to your benefit to do so sooner rather than later. There are 3 things that you should consider to make sure that you are ready to make a home purchase. If you can answer yes to these 3 factors or these 3 questions, you should be in good shape to buy a home. The first thing to consider is your credit score and how strong your credit score is. The best deal on mortgages are given to folks who have very strong credit scores, and that can be anything from the terms of the mortgage that you get, the mortgage rate that you get, and also the type of mortgage that you qualify for. If you can demonstrate that you're a low-risk borrower and you have a history of making on-time payments, you're gonna get the best deal that a mortgage lender has to offer when it comes to mortgage interest rates. The next thing that you should consider is whether or not you have saved enough money for your down payment and your closing costs. Remember, there are 3 main loan types that determine how much of a down payment that you should make. And when I say how much of a down payment, I mean a minimum down payment. So we have VA loans that require a minimum of 0% down. So for that, if you are a veteran, you do not require any down payment in order to purchase a home. So that's a pretty fantastic loan product to use. There are FHA loans, which require a minimum of 3.5% as your down payment, 3.5% of the purchase price. And then we have conventional loans, which you can put as little as 3% down towards the purchase of your home as your down payment. So depending on the type of loan product that you qualify for determines how much of a down payment that you are able to make. Now again, remember that the percentages I just mentioned are minimums. You may put down as much money as you are able to towards the purchase of your home. And honestly, the more money that you are able to put down, the better, because it lowers your principal balance and therefore also lowers the amount of interest that you will be paying on the loan over time. So the more money you put down, the better. Also, something to think about is the fact that if you put down 20% or more, you do not have to pay something that is called private mortgage insurance, which is an additional monthly payment that the bank tacks on when you pay less than 20% down. Now, you not only have to think about your down payment, but you also have to think about closing costs. And closing costs are fees that are associated with closing your loan, and they can include things like title insurance, transfer taxes, and things that basically go towards making the purchase of the home. And closing costs in the state of Maryland could be anywhere between 4 to 5% of the purchase price of the home. So remember, if you're planning on making a 3 to 5% down payment, you also have to consider that you're going to be paying 4 to 5% of the purchase price towards your closing costs. So you want to make sure that you have enough money saved up to cover these costs. In some situations, for example, if a house has been on the market for quite some time and you're able to negotiate with the seller, they may be willing to pay some of your closing costs for you. It's definitely something to consider and something to try, but it's not guaranteed. So it is important that you have enough money to cover both down payment and closing cost if you're thinking about buying a house, and then any contributions that you might get from the seller or any kind of financial incentive programs will just be icing on the cake. Okay, the third thing that really you should consider if you're thinking about buying a house now is whether or not you are going to be staying in the home for a while. And by a while, I mean 5 to 7 years would be ideal. And the reason for this is that, as you can see, there are a lot of upfront costs that go with buying a home. You have your down payment, you have your closing costs, you have all of the costs that are associated with making the purchase, like your inspections, like your appraisal. There's a lot of money that goes into buying a house. And if you change your mind within a year and try to sell it, you're gonna lose those costs. Plus, it costs money to be able to sell a house, right? So you wanna make sure that you're gonna be staying put for a good amount of time so that you can recoup those costs. Or if for some reason, like sometimes things happen, my clients have had relocations for jobs and other circumstances that have happened that have required them to move right away, or, to stay in the home less time than what they originally anticipated. And if that's the case, you need to think about the fact of whether or not you have enough money in reserves and that you're financially stable enough to maybe keep hanging on to the house and renting it out. That's an option. And then something else to think about, if you bought an owner-occupied property and you're not able to stay in it for more than 2 years, there can be tax consequences to that. So just also keep that in mind. So if you're thinking about making a home purchase, having a significant amount of time in the home is probably a good thing so that you can make sure you're making a sound investment. Ultimately, the decision of whether or not to make a home purchase is a personal one, and it's not something that any outside sources can tell you if it's a good time or a bad time. You have to make the determination for yourself. Considering these 3 factors is a great way to determine if you're on your way to making your home purchase, but other things to consider are this. If you're trying to time the market and waiting for interest rates to go down, just remember you're not the only one who's waiting for that to happen. Once interest rates go down, guess what? More people are going to flood the market, and that is going to cause an increase of bidding wars and an increase in home prices in general. We are dealing with something called low inventory here in the Baltimore metro region and Maryland in general, which means that there are less available houses than the people who are looking for them. So bidding wars are definitely a thing, even in 2024. So one of the things that's most important when you are considering whether or not to buy a house is to talk to a trusted real estate professional who can give you good insights into the real estate market, who can answer all of your questions, who can provide solid lender recommendations so that you know a good lender partner to get a loan from, and can really guide you through this process and make sure that you are feeling like you're making a great decision. If you are considering moving to the Baltimore metro region, make sure that you reach out to me and to my team. You can call us, you can text us, you can email us, we can set up a video call, and we can definitely talk to you about the pros and the cons and all of the things to think about before making a home purchase here in Maryland. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.